So today I stepped into a time machine and arrived in 1933. So a lot of people have seen in their history books people lined up at the bank during the Great Depression, and it's a pet peeve of mine that people misinterpret that photo. People often say that's when people lined up to get their money out of their bank accounts. It's actually people lining up to turn in their gold for Federal Reserve notes in 1933, because the government said that we were going off the gold standard and gold would become worthless after a certain date in 1933. And it turns out the citizens all turned in their gold, and the next day gold prices went up 75%, from $20 an ounce to $35 an ounce. And we were fighting this invisible enemy of the Great Depression at the time. And here in 2021, people are fighting against this invisible enemy of, well, not taking good care of your immune system, to the point that eating a bowl of bat soup could potentially make you ill, right? Eating something that humans were designed to eat. As hunter-gatherers, we ate a lot of bats in our evolution, right? The bats are not supposed to kill us, right? And animals are not supposed to kill us. And so we're taking so many xenobiotics, right, like sugar, MSG, trans fat, to the point that an animal will kill us, right? Things that we're evolved to eat. And so instead, we line up to get this drug that we probably weaken our immune systems even more, right? And what's really sad is that at least during the Great Depression, people had each other, right? Now people have to line up 6 feet apart from one another. This gave me a really sad feeling. Now, the other comparison I love to make is that it was said that during the Great Depression is when we really started to go to the movie theaters. Obviously, this time we stopped going to the movie theaters because people, at the time during the Great Depression, people want to escape their reality. Now, the COVID-19 crisis has been great for me because I have social anxiety problems. And I have a hard time going into a restaurant or a bar or a bowling alley or a party that's at 100% capacity. And now I'm practicing it with 25%, with 50% capacity. And then occasionally I'll go to Idaho and do it at 100% capacity. And it's been really good practice. And I hope a few stories of people using this as an opportunity to climb out of social anxiety will make it into the history books. I really do. It's a feel-good story. I'm sure I'm not the only one practicing it. Actually, sometimes when I go out to the restaurant and I explain what I'm doing, people are familiar with that concept, so I really love it. But the lines at the vaccine place, or at the grocery store review, actually was really funny because it was at a grocery store. There's a pharmacy in the back, and I had to bite my lips, otherwise I would really laugh like crazy. This guy who was lined up to get the vaccine, I looked at his shopping cart, and I'm like, how about you start by changing some of that stuff? That would probably do you a whole lot more good than the vaccine. But it's just really silly. I kind of looked at his shopping cart and gave him a dirty look to hope he would somewhat get the message. I don't know if he did. But that's the reality we live in, right? Kind of like in the... We should have used the opportunity in 1933 to completely overthrow... See, I don't know why we don't overthrow the entire financial system. If enough people got up and said, we're going to trade with gold or with Bitcoin, and obviously the dollar would collapse, but so would everybody's debts that are denominated in dollars. I don't see why that doesn't happen. I really don't. Same thing with the idea of taking good care of your immune system so that a simple virus would just be a little bit of a blip, right? It might even strengthen your immune system, right? So I take healthy bacteria all the time, right? And I tested positive for the antibodies to COVID-19, and I barely remember getting sick. The only time I can remember was back in October of 2019 when I traveled to Taiwan. But actually, I got excited about potentially catching it again, because I don't want to get the vaccine. I hope if I test positive for the antibodies, I can be exempt from the vaccine. So when I heard it was surging again, and Idaho didn't want to reclose their bowling alleys, I treated going there almost like a vaccine myself. Anyway, anyways, take good care of your immune system, and don't fall for the same. It happens every. See, I seem to remember this. The Chinese have a proverb that when the last person involved in an event passes away, the event is kind of forgotten. 1933, and now 2021. How long has that been? So most people who witnessed the bank runs or turning in their gold in 1933, they're gone, right? So we've forgotten that lesson.